We're the Grape Vinyl.
We're the Grape Vinyl.
On Instagram.
Yes.
Going like six or 7 years strong.
We're 7 years in, which is crazy. Time flies.
But you can also call us by our human names.
I'm Brooklyn.
And I'm Dillon.
You're doing an Instagram page. That's basically the essence of it, right?
Yeah, like, do you want to tell the story of it?
Yeah, like we're Instagram only. We've tried to like make a Facebook page and we've talked about TikTok, but we haven't really had the time and we haven't got there yet because we dedicate so much time to Instagram and it's really a labor of love.
And we got like a family and a life and stuff. And
jobs.
So this really, a labor of love would describe it well. That because the intention was never like to have a page that had any real notoriety or popularity. It was just literally sharing our vinyl collection.
Exactly. And there was a reason that we wanted to do this. When we first moved in together, we were in a new city. And do you remember the site? I don't know if it's still running. It's called Meetup, where you form meetup groups.
Yeah, I remember that site. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we created a group called Crate Diggers Unite to try to meet people in our new city to talk about music and albums. So the intention was to go record shopping, sit down at a cafe, and talk about the music that we bought. Now, it never took off, but our intention was to build sort of like a music record community.
Because gosh, there's no one like within the vicinity. Like I still have yet to meet like a local person that like appreciates music the way that the two of us do. So that's why this online community has just been like the coolest thing, because you can share this stuff that if you talk to anyone else about, you would just annoy the crap out of them. And there's just other people loving it and sharing the love, and it just feels like it's just cool to be part of a community with this stuff that can be it's a hobby that can be isolating. It's like the more you like music and the more deeper you get into it, the more isolated you kind of become when it comes to talking about it.
So it's cool that from this avenue, we essentially like got what we were looking for with these like meetup groups. And that's why we've been doing it for 7 years. It's really, really enjoyable, and we enjoy the work. It's a lot of work to do, to put together and to be always taking pictures and talking music and doing reels, but we get so much from it. Like it's really, really, really fun. And it's nice to have like a joint hobby that we can do together as a couple.
Yeah, and to have our niche sort of defined. Our niche is sort of becoming more defined as like more off the beaten path, lesser known labels and artists, and it's really cool to just be kind of, people are appreciating that rather than just us having to like, cycle through the Pink Floyds and then the Beatles and then the Led Zeppelin records and then the Black Sabbath records, all great bands. But it's like, it's more fun to share some of the cutting edge, I guess, progressive stuff. You know what I mean?
Put extra eyes on these bands that are worthy of having more views, because there's so much amazing music out there that certain people just haven't got the access to because they're not, up and going. So it's great to be able to share that.
Is this something you did as a couple, that you started collecting albums?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we had like 5 records before we even had a player. We just loved music, and we got them at like shows, and then we're like, man, we got to play these bad boys. So his dad actually bought us our first turntable, which was like a used Technics.
Yeah, from like a hawk shop.
Yeah, and that started it. I remember we had like the most ghetto little setup, and we had our little bin of like 10 records, and we're like, this is the shit. This is amazing.
And in our first record store visit, we like went to like the bargain bin section, like the 2-3 for, like the BOGO.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh my God, it's all the bands that we like. No one wants this stuff. So we realized like we could start collecting really cheap.
Yeah.
Of course, we've gotten to become a bit more pompous and like you see like the extravagant pressings and stuff like that. But I guess that just comes with
it's the collector, right?
It just comes with knowing, like if you're following these labels closely, you're just in the know when these things when cool records are dropping, when great albums are coming out, and you just have more opportunity to get these limited releases that, it's just a really fun way to celebrate the music that you love. But it's really all about the music.
If there's low-key jingling in the background, we have a cat just going to town on a toy here.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a couple cats too.
Nice.
Yeah, you probably didn't hear it, but like 5 minutes ago, he was trying to break this door down. He's like, let me in. And the whole door is going.
They hate shut doors.
Yeah.
They hate shut doors.
I used to collect vinyl when I was a kid, back
Yes.
in the pre-internet days and all that. And there's a unique relationship you get with the vinyl, with the album, with the artwork, discovering them on a physical piece of vinyl, taking it home and all that. There's something very unique about that. Would you agree?
Absolutely. That I think that's one of the main, like the first main appeals with it is you get to celebrate the artwork. You get to listen to the album in its entirety, the way that it was meant to flow. You're not just cherry picking songs that you're going to throw on a playlist, and the whole experience is makes it more special, a little more sacred.
Yeah, I would second that. That's certainly like that's the addiction piece right there, is just that just it forces you to sit down, to really immerse yourself in the art and make it, and appreciate it. Like, it's not convenient to get up and flip a record, like it's particularly Prog, because it's like 4 LPs and all that kind of thing.
True.
But yeah, like I don't think we certainly didn't get into it for the convenience of it. You know what I mean? It's not a convenient media form, I don't think, but it's like,
it's worth the extra effort.
So what do you got there, Dillon? You said you had a few albums you pulled out in case you wanted to show them.
Yeah, I got some. Brooks got some. We got like a mix of like combination of classics. What we would consider classic prog. We actually were having like a debate about like what prog is. Do you have, running in your podcast, do you have a working definition that you use for prog?
Well, one of the prog giants of all time was Chris Squire of Yes, and his comment I just discovered recently. He said music that's different. You could almost say that's it. That's the essence of it. It's different, obviously different than the mainstream, what's the most popular stuff. So I like that.
Yeah.
Well, that would certainly fit most of our records, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's pretty much what we gravitate toward. Like, I know, because the debate we were having was between experimental versus like progressive. It's like, what makes music experimental versus what makes it progressive? And I guess like if I could think of any defining difference, it would be like progressing a genre through like instrumentation versus like is being progressive versus like progressing it through like, I don't know, production means or other or artistic mean. I don't know. See, I get lost even trying to explain it here, but it's just a really fun genre to just think about, and who would qualify something as being progressive versus who would say that something, oh, that's not progressive music. And so if any of these things, if you're watching and you don't consider this prog, then you can feel free to reach out. We can chat it out. We can decide if it's progressive or not. I would qualify all these as progressive.
I would. Yeah,
like I said, I got a combination of some classics. So hopefully you can see the screen all right. I'll try to get them nice and good. One of the first ones is this nice reissue of Meshuggah's Nothing. Yeah, some famous progressive techie death metal.
Yes.
Gotta love some Meshuggah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, we got that on a fun little orange, like creamsicle and brown pressing, a nice, ugly, pretty pressing there. They changed the artwork if it's unfamiliar to some people. Awful idea.
No, I love the original artwork of this one. We saw it in a record store once, and I'm like kicking my butt for not grabbing it at the time because I much prefer the original album art. But
it's like, oh, how can we alienate our fans that are super nostalgic of our music?
We're really good at alienating.
And while simultaneously making the music worse. Oh, we'll change that album art.
I like that.
What do you have in your pile?
Well, this is our classic pile. You want to keep on the classic train?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
You want one of these?
Yeah, well, this is a great. This is one of my favorite films, Legend, and it's scored by Tangerine Dream for Proggy, and so I thought this was a great pick for me. You can't see it. I have like a painting of the darkness over there. This means so much to me, and it actually started my love for Tangerine Dream at a really young age, and it's just a nice old pressing on black that's actually hard to find apparently.
And that's one of those ones like, oh, is it Berlin School, is it synthwave, and then, but it's like if I was sorting my music, I would put it with my like progressive stuff, you know what I mean? Like it just sort of feels home.
Yeah totally progressive in my mind. Yeah.
So this is like when you think proggy, like if someone says prog music, this is like what plays in my head.
Me too.
Like if someone says dog, you think, oh, a golden retriever, or like a lab. this is like when someone says prog, this is like where my mind goes,
Absolutely.
for better or worse. And I love this record.
I love it.
Here's some Liquid Tension Experiment.
Oh yeah.
I love this artwork.
Yeah.
I love it with your shirt. That's hilarious.
It's such a vision. Like it looks like CD artwork, so just and I love it when they just expand it to the vinyl like that, and it's just perfectly like, just, I don't know, great.
This one's not ugly.
Super nerdy, super
Ooh, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a beautiful pressing. I love I'm a drummer, by the way, and the song Paradigm Shift, I remember trying to learn that for like it was one summer I was trying to get that song under my belt, and it was like such a blast playing those Portnoy beats. I think like that insane playing ability, instrumentation, just like taking you on a journey, you know what I mean? I saw that you have that Sleepy Time Gorilla Museum record. Did you hear their new release? They put out a new album.
They've released one song, and I did actually a reaction video to it, and it's great. It is honestly a fantastic song. I really like it, and it's very proggy. Of course, they're they're kind of experimental and avant-garde at the same time, and
that's another one, prog and avant-garde. What else do you have? Do you want to keep looking through the spoiler though? Do you want to do this one? Yeah, no,
I love this album. I remember hearing this about 7 years ago. This is Pandemonium 3, Chaos and Confusion.
Oh.
So it's like proggy. How would you describe this album?
I think it's progressive death metal.
But it's so unique, and it's actually like really catchy, and I'd never heard anything like it when I first heard it. So it stands out to me as being like a prog favorite.
It's Dan Swano, so like you might know him from like his Edge of Sanity and his work with I think he did some work with Opeth too.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, and so this is Panthymonium, PAN-THY-MONIUM. So it's even spelt weird. It's inaccessible in almost every way. Like the album art is just
it doesn't look that compelling, but you like put it on and it slams. Like it's really cool.
And it just like it goes on it's just like the whole A side is just like one kind of extended song that goes in all different areas, while also being like very weird and intense and just
it'll get like weirdly catchy, and then it'll get really weird and out there, but it's great. It's like really
this is like any classic that I've shown, like this is in the same pantheon for us. Like this would be as classic as record, even though I think Dan Swano doesn't really like this album.
That's so weird.
Which is like, I don't know if that tends to be the case with like those crazy musicians.
Cool, I think I'll want to check that out. It sounds intriguing.
What about this one? That one?
Well, this would be
that's like one of your albums of the year.
This is one of my favorite albums this year, and this would be like a hip hop expression. Some progressive beats here. This is JPEG Mafia and Danny Brown, Scaring the Hose. But it is, oh my gosh, I don't know, it's one of my favorite albums that I've heard this year. I love hip hop. It's one of but I tend to like more experimental progressive hip hop more than like some of the mainstream stuff in general. But this one's it's really quirky. It's got like old school hip hop vibes, but it's also like very outside the box, very
the glitchy, noisy,
but weirdly like really like infectious. You want to keep listening to them. I was really impressed with this release.
Yeah, it hits hard, but it still has like, it's like taking inaccessible sounds and making accessible songs with it.
Which JPEG Mafia, it tends to be like really good at doing, but I loved his collaboration with Danny Brown, made it even more obscure and different. So that's a fun one. That's a fun one that just dropped this year.
So, obscure, deranged, experimental, inaccessible hip hop. We got you covered with Scaring the Hose.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I got one more, and that would fit that bill. I'm sorry I'm stealing this one from your pile here. It's Clipping.
It's our pile.
Have you ever heard Clipping? This is a really sweet group. The It's an excellent rapper. All their names are escaping me. I'm so sorry. They're signed to
David?
David, I think, yeah. And he just has these really cool progressive flows.
It's like samples.
Kind of an overachiever sort of approach to hip hop and rapping, and then it's on top of these ridiculous samples from these. I think that's a Scandinavian duo that just take these beautiful. It's almost like Amon Tobin, or like that really like high def electronic music. Like maybe Aphex Twin, think that, only a bit more pristine,
Right.
a bit less choppy, and just these awesome samples and this really cool hip hop over top of it, and it just bangs.
It just bangs. There's like one poopy song on this other Club Closer.
Yeah, they always have they try to do like
always have one song about like being in a club or something, but then it ends up being just not great. And it's like, you were doing such a good thing with this more unique esoteric stuff, and then you just get the club banger and you're like, no.
I hope Clipping never sees this,
sorry, if Clipping never sees this, I'm sorry.
Keep trying.
Yeah,
that club hit is coming. It just sounds like a bunch of like nerdier people trying to write like a club jam. And it's just like an awkward fit. But if they stick to their guns and they stick to like the thematic, the conceptual stuff, they have a lot of their albums are concept albums. They have like a science fiction concept one where this guy's like trapped on a spaceship, like a cargo spaceship. They've got
a horror theme one, like the serial killer theme, 2 of them, right?
Yeah, they did 2 like horror related records, so like your horror movies. That's a great one. They have like one based on like Candyman, a song based on Candyman, I think, and there's just some really cool stuff from Clipping, and they're just a band they're like one of those if there's a pre-order, we kind of scoop it up kind of bands, you know? So yeah. There's another hip hop one if you're looking for some interesting hip hop.
Awesome.
One of the most experimental one we got.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is no, this one.
Oh yes.
What do you think of that?
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Okay, so this is a band, and then maybe we can pull it back and we can do something that's a little bit more. I would argue these are all kind of accessible, but right here we have a band called Fire Tools.
Okay.
And this is Eternal Home. It's sort of like a one-person show. I'm trying to remember the artist's name.
I don't know their name. I forget.
It's like Angel Marcloud, and it's Angel Hair Studios with their production studio. And this album is called Eternal Home, and it looks like it sounds. This is like sort of like black metal meets vaporwave meets new age and jazz meets other forms like progressive metal, and then very experimental bedroom style production. This is
that sounds good job.
I think that's good.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Awesome.
And,
I wouldn't be able to explain that.
Yeah, it's one of those things, like it's one of those bands that they're doing so many things that shouldn't work together, but they do. And it just makes for a very one of a kind sort of listening experience. Yeah. So if you want to try something they're really progressive, in my opinion, forward thinking and challenging, I'd say too, but also rewarding. Fire Tools, Eternal Home. You also got to get over the screaming vocals, which is another thing another barrier to a lot of people appreciating the heavier stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it took us a while to get screamed vocals.
Yeah, especially certain, like I always liked kind of like, I guess new metal got me into metal at like a really young age, but it took me longer time to get into like a lot of the deeper like death metal sort of screams, and because some of them are really challenging. But I started taking singing lessons, and my singing teacher is a black metal artist from Norway, and she taught me. You kind of explained to me how you get into that sort of fried vocal, coming from like a classical background. And I just have the hugest appreciation for it now. Like I want to hear everyone scream. I think it's so interesting.
Now that you understand what's behind it, eh?
Yeah, how you get into it and how you can do it in like a very healthy way. Other ways that you're like, oh, this person's going to lose their voice in 5 years. And it's very hard to do as well. So it takes like a huge amount of energy. And I just have such an appreciation for it now. I like hearing all sorts of unclean vocals because it's really something.
So Brooklyn, you're taking singing lessons. I didn't realize that. Why are you taking singing lessons?
Honestly, just personally, because I don't like public speaking and I work in real estate as my main job. So I wanted to just have something that like kind of opened up my voice. I could do breath work, and I've always wanted to be able to sing. So I thought it would kind of kill two birds, help with some nervy stuff, and also like maybe one day do something with it if I can get beyond, just singing to myself and my teacher.
You equate it to like yoga and meditation and stuff.
I find it really yogic as well, right? Like, and she also is a yoga teacher, which is really cool. So she comes at it from that sort of angle where, you're doing the deep breathing, you're connecting with your body. And yeah, I've been doing it for about 3 years now, and I really love it.
Cool.
Some people started making sourdough, and some people started singing.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
So Dillon, you said you're you're both musical, obviously. Dillon, you're a drummer too. Are you in a band, or is it just a hobby for you?
Oh, lately, since the kid, it's been really dialed back on the playing. But there was a time in my life when I played like an hour a day. Like I was seriously into music. It was in a few bands, never like nothing that really ever took off. I was in one band. We opened for 3 Days Grace at the Palladium in Toronto. That was like the biggest kind of like show we ever did.
Cool.
But it was always sort of like that. It was sort of progressive metal. I'd say we were a progressive metal band. We covered Tool's Swamp Song was one of our favorites. We did we mostly focused on originals, but we covered some of the prog greats. We never did anything we never covered like Liquid Tension Experiment or anything of that.
That'd be challenging. And you mentioned you got a kid. You have a pretty young baby or growing child, or
it seems like he's still our baby, but he's 5 now, so okay. He's getting older.
Now I'm really interested how he's impacted by mommy and daddy having all these albums, because that's kind of unique. How does he take to it?
It's actually really, really awesome to watch his interest in music progress, because he'll definitely hear some music from us and like it, but he's got such an ear for music that if he's listening to the radio or watching a movie, he'll know right away what he likes, and he'll say, "Mommy, put that on my playlist." He has a playlist. He goes, "Put that song on the playlist." So I have to find this song.
I remember the one time we were shopping, and he goes to Brooke. He's like, "Mom, it's the new Gorillaz song." And Brooke is like, "There's no new Gorillaz song." He's like, "It's the new Gorillaz song."
He's 4.
He knows how to handle the records. He knows how to flip them and stuff. So if we're like, flip the record.
Yeah.
He knows how to do it. And we can trust him to do it. He doesn't grab the grooves. It's really adorable. Yeah, he's super careful. Yeah. We haven't got him so much into the playing music, but the listening, he's bang on. One of his first favorite songs of all time, I guess, is kind of proggy. It was "Catching Smoke" by King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard.
Oh yeah, great band.
Yeah.
That's cool. Did you ever buy him specifically an album, like, I don't know, Sesame Street or something? Or
yeah, we actually have a little section of Kingston Records, just because he's
the last one we got him was, I think, The Clash.
Yeah, The Clash.
Combat rock.
Really?
Yeah.
He loved good taste.
From Stranger Things, he really liked that "Should I Stay or Should I Go" song.
Oh wow, of course. Yeah, that was a big song on that show. Are you thinking of expanding to YouTube, or are you strictly staying on Instagram?
We're always talking about it. When we do something that's different from what we're typically doing in the routine, it's just sort of these, we do a little bit of this. We did interviews over the pandemic with artists, and that actually went quite well. We've done stuff like this. We've done a little bit of here and there, but we haven't really committed, just mainly because we've gotten so efficient at doing this that we can really just do it without thinking. It just feels very natural. Some people smoke cigarettes. We write vinyl posts. You know what I mean? It's that easy.
Yeah.
And so I think it would be a big step. What do you think?
Yeah, I wouldn't put it off the table. I think it's a cool idea. We just haven't done it. It's kind of just because there's a threshold you have to go through to do something new, and we haven't wanted to commit to pushing that.
But I really like what you guys are doing as a couple. I think it's really cool that it's a kind of a family thing. Does it continue to grow and expand? Are you getting more and more hits and stuff?
It slowed down. We went through a huge growth spurt in 2021, I would say 2020 to 2021. And after that, we sort of plateaued, and algorithms have changed. And I feel like that's been part of it.
Sure, and just us not kind of we've been very uncompromising in what we're sharing. Like
It's true.
like it's
We never like, you know what, we gotta do a Pink Floyd this week so that we can get 50 new followers, because that is the stuff that you get followers from, because they're so well known, and people, you have like the huge classic lovers, but we don't go out of our way to post popular music. We are kind of
yeah, we literally post what we're listening to, or what like other like small up and coming bands want us to share and want to share with us. It's And we never like sit down, and we've never like sat down and had like a strategic session of like, okay, what's a growth strategy? How can we double our followers in the next 3 months? Yeah. Like we've literally never done that, which is why we feel lucky that we even have the appreciation that we do from the community, because it's been.
I didn't think we'd have 20,000 followers. I always thought we were too weird. So the fact that we do is cool.
And we got a cool little thing. I'm going to plug this. Vinyl.com. We just recently partnered with them. Yeah. And if you go to their website and you put Grape10 as the checkout code, you can save 10% on any vinyl purchase that you make with Vinyl.com. And it has like a little kickback for us too, which is cool because we've been doing this for years and never made any money at all. And I'm not anticipating anything big from it, but if you're buying vinyl,
it's cool.
Yeah.
And are you able to interact with your audience like through text, or do you have like, I don't know, like live feeds or anything sometimes?
We should do more live. We really should. We used to do stuff live, but that is something we could do. But we definitely get back to all our messages. So we always have people reach out to us, and we kind of touch base with our community that way. But more live would actually probably be really fun.
Yeah, and because of the collecting side of things, like a lot of our community is like people letting us know when things are happening with different like labels, when a drop, like when a specific vinyl, this sounds so nerdy, but like when a specific vinyl drop is happening, and then this and then, so kind of everyone kind of keeping each other in the loop. Because some of these things, like some of these records are very rare collector's editions, and that's sort of what we like all music, but if there is the rarest edition and you do have the chance for it, why not try to get that, right? Like we'll get the record in a record store anyway, but if you had the chance. Yeah. And sometimes it's really cool to get like these, like a lot of these handmade artisan pressings, some of the really, really pretty stuff. I guess I can show you one of those because they're pretty cool.
Sure. Now, do you guys put all your albums on Discogs or do you keep track of it like that?
Yeah, we log it all on Discogs just to have the database.
So this is like how I'm talking about. So this is out of Cleveland. This is Wax Mage Records. They're a really cool through Gotta Groove Records. They like work with them, and if you like press your music, you can get very limited pressings. They'll produce these handmade ones that are just gorgeous, that are like out of 25, and they're always really sweet. And they've got so many cool different bands that they've helped out with the pressings, because there's certain people that will simply explore the music just because they know that they have like this opportunity to get like a Wax Mage. It's I don't know, I think some people would find that very contrived, but personally it's like whatever means necessary to get people to listen to your music. When I was a kid, I can't tell you how many things I listened to from a really cool album art. You know what I mean? Like that's how I got into metal. That's how I got into Slayer. That's
absolutely. Do you guys ever buy CDs or cassettes as well? Or even 8-tracks?
When CDs, obviously growing up, whereas it was like the thing, I remember being really proud of my CD collection, but not so much these days. Vinyl kind of takes over everything. There's no room for anything else. We couldn't even collect DVDs if we wanted to.
Or even our bookshelf, like our bookshelves getting taken over. It's like
we keep having to like take out cubbies to put more records in.
We have one tape. This tape's funny.
This one's so funny. What's the story behind it? I forget.
I'm trying to remember the label. It's called Halloween is the Dream. It's one of those sound effects albums. You know, you've seen those, like the Disney chilling sounds of the haunted house, and like everyone's got to have a cool creepy sound effect.
I think this was like a charity thing too.
Yeah, I'm kind of, the story's lost on me, but the funny thing is that we're on it.
We're on it.
We're actually on our voices are on the recording. What did we do? It was
raining blood. What is that? What is that coming down from the sky? It was something like that. It was
we were outside, it was raining, and we like recorded a scary scenario with our phones, and then they took the audio and they put it on the sound effects record. So at one point, like you hear like this rain, and it's us yelling. That's raining blood. This is the kind of this is the kind of crap that we're doing in our spare time. But it was really funny to land on this cassette, so we had to get this one.
And it has cool artwork. Like he does a lot of album arts.
Joe Kleinberger.
Yeah, Feinberger, I think that's right. Yeah. So he's done a few albums we own. So we thought it was cool. He was doing the cassette art for it. Just a cool little thing. We're also big Halloweeners. We're like very nerdy when Halloween time comes. We celebrate it more like bigger than Christmas.
Yeah, we've got this entire bottom row here is all Halloween soundtracks.
Well, that's
awesome.
We love horror movies and we love soundtracks. So we have a great like horror movie soundtrack collection that's fun to feature around Halloween.
So there's some Goblin for you there too.
Well, Brooklyn and Dillon, thank you so much for sharing. I'm going to put links down below. We're almost out of time. Right. I just loved meeting you guys. I think you're so genuine and authentic. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me.